From the moment human beings began to reflect upon themselves, a quiet question has echoed within the inner world. Why do we suffer? Not only the pain of illness or loss, but a fragile, restless feeling as if no matter how much we achieve, something still remains incomplete. We search for happiness through money, status, love, recognition. Yet the tighter we grasp, the more we fear losing. The more we attain, the more we worry it will not last. That cycle continues, and the mind never truly rests. More than 2,000 years ago, in the region that is now Nepal and northern India, a man left behind a life of royal luxury to seek the answer to that very question. That man was Gautama Buddha. He did not attempt to create a system of beliefs to be worshipped, nor did he offer doctrines for debate. What he discovered was simple yet profound. Suffering has a cause, and because it has a cause, it can cease. His teaching did not begin with the promise of heaven, but with the honesty of looking directly at reality. Life contains suffering. Birth is suffering. Aging is suffering. Illness is suffering. Death is suffering. To love and not obtain is suffering. To hate and still encounter suffering. To desire and not fulfill is suffering. But what is remarkable is this. Suffering is not a permanent sentence. It is like a flame. When there is fuel, it burns. When the fuel is gone, it goes out. So what is that fuel? It is attachment. It is the illusion that everything must go according to our will. It is the belief that I am a fixed center amid the flow of change. When we cling to this body as if it will never change, we fear every sign of aging. When we cling to emotions, we panic before each wave of sadness. When we cling to others, we suffer at every separation. The words of the Buddha were not meant to make us pessimistic about life. On the contrary, they are a light illuminating the mechanism of suffering. For when we understand that mechanism, we are no longer controlled by it. Just as one who understands how ocean waves move will no longer panic at every wave. In today's world, where life moves ever faster and social media amplifies comparison and expectation, suffering seems even more subtle than before. We do not suffer only from lack, but from comparison. Not only from loss, but from fear of the future. The mind constantly jumps between past and future, rarely resting fully in the present. And this absence from the present moment distances us from peace. But is there truly a path that leads to the end of suffering? Not by escaping life, not by denying emotion, but by transforming at the root. The answer lies in the core principles the Buddha pointed out, methods not dependent on time, not limited by culture, and not requiring blind belief. It is the path of wisdom and mindfulness. The 6 ways to end suffering according to the Buddha's teaching are not 6 rigid steps, but 6 perspectives, 6 doors through which we step out of the dark room of ignorance. When we understand the impermanent nature of all things, we no longer demand that they last forever. When we see the nature of non-self, we no longer defend an imagined I. When we practice mindfulness, we are no longer swept away by thoughts. When we cultivate compassion, we soften inner conflicts. When we let go of craving, we extinguish the fuel of suffering. And when we live in alignment with the noble path, we gradually restructure our lives from the foundation. What matters is this: the path is not somewhere far away. It does not require us to leave our family, work, or society. It begins in each breath, in each small reaction to a harsh word, In each moment, we choose silence instead of argument, understanding instead of judgment. Suffering is not an enemy to be destroyed. It is a teacher revealing where we still cling. When we are courageous enough to look directly at it, rather than blaming circumstances, we begin to glimpse freedom. Freedom is not controlling everything, but no longer being controlled by everything. This article will open 6 profound approaches in the spirit of the Buddha's teaching, not to be read merely for knowledge, but to be contemplated. For only when we experience them ourselves do those teachings become a living light, not just words. And perhaps the journey to end suffering does not begin with changing the world, but with a very small moment, the moment we pause and truly look into ourselves. If the opening is the door, then the body of this journey is the true path that leads us deep into the root of suffering, and also where we begin to untie each knot within. Consciousness, the 6 ways to end suffering according to the teaching of Gautama Buddha, are not temporary words of comfort. They are transformation at the root. First, look directly at the truth of suffering. Most of us live by avoiding. When sad, we seek entertainment. When lonely, we fill the space with noise. When insecure, we search for recognition. But the more we avoid, the deeper suffering clings. The Buddha taught that the first step is not to run from suffering, but to recognize it. When we dare to name our fear, dare to admit the emptiness, dare to clearly see the jealousy or hurt that is present, we have lit the light of awareness, and in that light, the darkness no longer holds the same power as before. Second, understand the cause of suffering, craving and attachment. Suffering does not arise on its own. It is nourished by clinging. We cling to pleasant feelings and want them to last forever. We resist unpleasant feelings and want them to disappear immediately. It is the demand that reality be different that creates inner tension. When we love someone and expect them never to change, we are laying the foundation for disappointment. When we equate our self-worth with success, we bind ourselves to the fear of failure. Seeing this mechanism clearly, we begin to understand that the problem does not lie in the world, but in how we cling to the world. Third, contemplate impermanence. Everything changes, emotions change, thoughts change, people change. This body also changes day by day, yet we live as if everything must remain stable according to our will. When we deeply understand impermanence, we are no longer shocked when loss occurs, not because we are indifferent, but because we understand that it is the natural nature of life. Joy comes. We appreciate it. Sadness comes. We listen to it, but we no longer try to freeze any moment forever. And it is precisely that flexibility that brings freedom. Fourth, practice mindfulness in every moment. Suffering largely arises from a mind that is not present. We regret the past or worrying about the future, but the present is the only place where life truly unfolds. When we eat knowing that we are eating, walk knowing that we are walking, breathe knowing that we are breathing, the mind begins to settle. Mindfulness is not a complicated technique. It is a returning. Each time we realize we are being carried away by thought and gently return to the breath, we are cutting off one loop of suffering. Fifth, let go of the illusion of a fixed self. One of the deepest roots of suffering is the idea of I, a self that must be protected, must be right, must be better than others. When someone criticizes us, we feel attacked. When someone is more successful, we feel threatened, but if we observe carefully that self is only a collection of memories, emotions, and social conditions, it is always changing. When we no longer over-identify with it, we become much lighter. We can listen without defensiveness. We can admit mistakes without collapsing. We can succeed without arrogance. 6. Cultivate compassion and wisdom. When we think only of ourselves, the mind contracts, but when we open the heart, suffering begins to dissolve. Compassion is not only for others, but also for ourselves. When we make mistakes, instead of self-blame, we learn to understand and correct. When others hurt us, we try to see their suffering behind that behavior. Wisdom helps us see the true nature of things. Compassion allows us to respond gently. These two elements together create profound transformation. What is remarkable is this: these ways do not require circumstances to be perfect. We can practice in the midst of a busy life. When facing conflict, we choose to pause for a moment before reacting. When emotions rise, we choose to observe rather than be swept away. When loss occurs, we allow ourselves to feel pain, but we do not let the pain define our entire being. The audience may ask, is this realistic in a modern life full of pressure? The answer lies in direct experience. Each time we practice, even in small ways, we will feel the change. Not an immediate change in the outer world, but a change in how we stand within it. And when the way of seeing changes, the world also seems different. To end suffering does not mean eliminating all challenges. It means no longer being drowned by them. Like someone who learns to swim, we do not prevent the waves from rising, but we are no longer afraid each time they grow high. This path requires patience, but every small step has value. Each mindful moment is a moment of freedom. Each time we release a little attachment is a time we become lighter. And when we look back, we will realize suffering was once the teacher that led us to wisdom, not by escaping it, but by understanding it deeply. In that understanding, the flame gradually goes out, and that awareness, peace begins to bloom. As we arrive at the end of this journey, perhaps what matters most is not how many methods we have memorized, but how many times we have truly paused to look into ourselves. For the teachings of Gautama Buddha were never merely theories to be learned by heart. They are a mirror to reflect the inner world. And each time we reflect in that mirror, we see more clearly the invisible threads that once bound us. Suffering does not disappear simply because we wish it away. It gradually dissolves when we understand it, when we stop blaming circumstances, other people, or fate, when we realize that the deepest root of unrest does not lie out there, but in how our mind reacts to what is out there. It is attachment, craving, and resistance to reality that have silently burned away our life energy day after day. Yet in the very moment we recognize this, freedom begins to reveal itself. Freedom is not a life without problems. Freedom is the ability to stand in the midst of problems without losing clarity. When sadness appears, we know this is sadness instead of I am sadness. When failure happens, we know this is an experience instead of I am a failure. That small distance between awareness and identification is the space of liberation. If we look more deeply, we will see that suffering was once a strict but sincere teacher. Because of it, we learn humility. Because of it, we come to empathize with the pain of others. Because of it, we let go of the illusion that we can control everything, and because of it, we begin to seek a deeper path, the path of understanding and letting go. The 6 ways to end suffering are not 6 magical keys that open a door overnight. They are 6 seeds. If we only hear them and leave them there, they will remain dormant. But if we water them with practice, with each mindful breath, each softened response in conflict, each courageous moment of looking into fear, those seeds will sprout. Perhaps tomorrow, when someone says something that hurts us, we may still react as before, but if we remember to pause for just 1 second, only 1 second, to observe the anger rising, that is already progress. Perhaps we will still worrying about the future, but if we recognize that we are worrying and return to the present, that is already light. This path does not demand perfection. It only requires sincerity. Try to imagine a world where each person understands that their suffering is not entirely created by others, but by the way they cling and interpret. Then we would blame less, judge less, argue less about right and wrong, and there would be more listening, more compassion. The transformation of the world always begins with the transformation of each soul. Therefore, if today you still feel that you carry wounds within, do not despair. Wounds are not signs of weakness. They are signs that you have lived, loved, and hoped. What matters is whether from this moment on you choose to continue living unconsciously or begin to walk in awareness. The journey to end suffering is not a journey outward, but a journey inward. Inward into the way you think, inward into the motives hidden behind each reaction, inward into the fragile yet full of potential nature of consciousness. And when you go deep enough, you will touch a stillness, a place where there is no longer the tug-of-war between gain and loss, higher and lower, right and wrong. There is only pure presence. If these reflections resonate with you, do not keep them to yourself. Leave a comment, not to debate, but to contemplate together. Perhaps just one line about what you are facing, or a small realization you have just discovered, may become a source of inspiration for someone else. In sincere empathy, we realize we are not alone on this journey, and if you wish to continue going deeper into Buddhist wisdom, to continue nurturing awareness in the midst of a modern life full of change, subscribe to the channel, not merely to follow more content, but to build together a space where each person can pause, slow down the breath, and return to themselves. Each subscription is not just a number. It is a commitment to inner growth. Each comment is not just feedback. It is a voice that enriches our shared journey. Finally, remember this. The light you seek has never been far away. It lies within your capacity to be aware, in the moment you choose to understand rather than react, in the instant you choose to let go rather than cling, in each breath you truly notice. As understanding grows, suffering naturally diminishes. As compassion expands, darkness automatically recedes. And as you persist in walking, even slowly, the path of liberation will gradually become clear beneath your feet. That journey begins right now, in this very breath.